Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here. What a hot take, a political hot take. I know I had stopped posting these on YouTube because I was getting flagged, but F it, I'm already demonetized. And this is quite frankly too important. So I'm going to put this out there. So if you don't want to see the political stuff, don't say it. I don't know what to tell you. This impacts movies too, in that censorship, the attacks on the First Amendment will eventually get to movies. It's already there in its own weird way. I mean, the push to be more woke is certainly censoring movies, certainly censoring comedy movies. Good luck finding one that's being greenlit in Hollywood these days. They're very rare. They find workarounds by doing period pieces or doing true stories, but good luck trying to find an outrageous original comedy that's actually funny. But the Biden admin has become fascist. The definition of fascism is pretty clear. Everything is subjugated to the state, and in this case, the one of the highlights of fascism, if you could call it that, is corporations working for the state. This is not a situation in which the government is arresting someone in a corporation or using legal maneuvers, anything like that. The government is working with Facebook to flag misinformation. And you might say, well, they don't have to do anything with that information. Yeah, I guess. But they are in a situation in which the government holds Section 230 over them, and if they were to remove Section 230, Facebook would lose money. Now, they wouldn't go out of business. They probably would just institute an AI system, but they would get sued. They'd lose their protections to be sued, and they'd probably have to field class action lawsuits to beat the ban. They have enough money to do it now, but it would cost them. They don't want that cost. Why would they want it if they could avoid it? What do they care about your opinion on a medical issue, which I can't even talk about on YouTube? Thank you very much, censored YouTube. So this is horrendous. This is horrendous. And don't kid yourself. It's not going to stop at the virus or the vaccine. They're already pushing and have been pushing a line of what happened on a certain day back in January. And they call it by a certain term. Is it misinformation not to call it by that term that they use frequently in the news? Now, some would argue it is. I would argue that it's not, if you know the technical definition of that term. But the misinformation is going to kill people, and probably has already. You look at the origins of where the virus came from, a certain lab, which again, I have to censor myself because YouTube might flag me. Months ago, they were saying, you can't, that's misinformation. To say it came from that particular lab in China is misinformation, therefore you're banned from YouTube, you're banned from other platforms. And make it clear, Jen Psaki said, included other platforms in a follow-up statement. So not only should you be banned from Facebook after you get flagged, the rest of big tech should ban you from other locations as well. This is nightmarish. This is Black Mirror. And you should be outraged about it, especially you woke-tards out there who spent 4 years screaming about Trump and what a fascist he is. Trump didn't get anywhere close to this. Biden has. Biden absolutely has. Here, let me downvote her. And they're laying the groundwork to go after Bitchute here and other alternative new tech platforms. Because once they get YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter in line, they'll be okay for a while. But if they still don't have, they still have failure in their policies, which they will, when they still don't reach 70%, vaccination, they need somebody to blame. They will not take the blame for themselves in their own policies. They will not say, well, we probably don't need 70%. They'll say, the problem is misinformation. The problem is these other guys. We got big tech in line, but now it's these new tech guys. They're causing us a problem. And they'll gin it up in with their media contacts and get people nice and scared until they start screaming, Daddy, Daddy, save us from new tech. Save us from the bigots at Bitchute. Now, whether or not they have enough time to do that is another story, but they are moving forward with this as fast as possible. And you should be outraged. And I got so angry, I actually finally slipped and posted something on Facebook because I was just so frustrated and angry. I was also frustrated to see people talk about the virus as if, on Facebook, as if they're getting all the information. I saw a thread a friend of mine had, and they talked about the virus as if, well, you know, what do you have to say about it? What do you have to say about it? And I jumped in and said, well, I have something to say, but I'd probably be banned from YouTube. And I immediately got blasted, like, take your MAGA moron crap and go home or whatever. So, in the reality is the people who are on the left have either politicized things or are so politicized themselves, they'll willingly not listen to alternative information now. Anything that comes from sources that they don't approve of, they instantly dismiss. They are following the Biden admin down the rabbit hole, no matter what they say. Even though the contradictions have been pretty stark. You know, use a mask, don't wear a mask. Lab in China, no lab in China. Oh wait, yes, lab in China. Doesn't matter to them because it's become such a partisan issue. They're willing to follow the people they consider them smart and safe. Oops. Shut up, Jen. So, I hope I don't get flagged for that short little bit, YouTube. This is just my opinion, YouTube. The other thing that Biden did this week, and I cannot believe they did it, although I kind of can, because, again, I don't think Biden's running anything. I think they're getting into a conference room with, and Jen Psaki's definitely in this conference room. And it's a mediocrity by committee. It's a group of people advising the president who's barely coherent, and they're making the decisions as a group. But making a group decision is often, well, it's often bad because what you get is a decision based on, well, I don't want to vote against the group, or, you know, I don't want to look bad, or I can vote that way because it's not going to be my fault in the end. So the recent thing was the Biden admin announced that they wanted the UN, Human Rights Council, I guess, I don't know, whatever council it is, to come in and look at racism in the United States. And the woman who runs that council in the UN is the former Chilean president, who is an open socialist. So what do you think her summation's going to be when she comes to America and talks to the other socialists, which is exactly what she's going to do. She's not going to, like, go out on the street and interview people at random to say, oh, is there really a lot of socialism, or really a lot of socialism? Is there really a lot of racism here? Or do I repeat myself? And it's not going to be fair. If anything, she has every incentive in the world to say, oh my God, there's so much racism in the United States. You should do reparations, which is part of the concept too. And not that the Biden admin will immediately listen to the UN. But it's two things. Number one, it subjugates our sovereignty to another entity, right? They're laying the groundwork. Well, we got to listen to the UN. Partly because, we do kind of run the UN, but we kind of don't at the same time. We shouldn't have to listen to the UN. It's not a body that should tell people what to do. It's supposed to be a body in which, the nations get together and say, hey, can we work out this problem? Not to force nations into doing stuff unless, with extreme examples, say like North Korea or something. But Biden is laying the groundwork, or the administration is, so they can say, well, we don't have a choice here, America. We have to do reparations. See, the UN told us. The UN told us. And they would love nothing more than to see the United States attempt to pay that and completely wreck our economy and throw us into chaos in the process. Because what will that do for other countries? Well, as the United States sinks, everybody comes up. Everybody comes up a notch. And if you can get past the United States, if you're in the industrialized world, wow, you're better than the United States. That would be a huge win for those countries. It also means that maybe your best and brightest will no longer flee to America the moment they get the money to do so. It's a win-win for them. At least, especially for socialists who, they hate America. You could just look at the socialists here. How much do you think the socialists in other countries hate America? And it's bizarre for me to say all this. Back in the day, I was a social justice warrior. I was very much annoyed by all the jingoism in America. But when you see this stuff in action, and you see that the damage that it's caused, when you see BLM supporting Cuba and the socialist AOC supporting Cuba, not the Cuban people, but the Cuban government, and you see a White House that avoided saying communism and socialism for several days while it was happening, and then Biden finally released a statement saying, oh yeah, communism bad, that's a failed ideology. Socialism, probably not a good substitute. Probably? Wow. That in and of itself was too soft a statement. But Biden, he's a soft brain idiot. So I'm surprised he got that statement out. So this is a disaster. An absolute disaster. So if you think you're going to be immune, if you think it just stops, if it's just very pragmatic, oh, no, this is just about the virus. Yeah, it was also supposed to be a 2-week thing. Remember that? Remember 2 weeks to slow the spread? How's that going? It never stops at 1. Not with the government. Not with any government. This will bleed in to the thing in January. And then news in general. And then portrayals of certain things. Watch Sticks and Hammer, Mark Dice. I think the Quartering has a piece on it today. Mark Dice especially. He had his meme censored. A meme censored on Facebook. Facebook actually fact-checked his meme. As if, well, this isn't true. It's a friggin' meme. I don't need you to tell me what is and is not true, Facebook. Neither do you. And you should be upset about this. And you should do something about it. Now, for me, I'm on Facebook and all the social media to advertise, and that's the only reason. I don't care if I get banned. I don't care if I get banned from YouTube. I'll just put all my efforts in the other platforms. But if you're not doing that, get off these platforms. There's no reason to be on them. Get off them as much as possible. Come to Bitchute and Rumble. There's also Odyssey for videos. You've got Minds. There's a great Facebook substitute. You've got Gab and Parler. And I'll tell you right now, there's not that many people on yet. There are some. It's not going to be as active and as exciting at first. but you are uncensored there for now. So don't give people money who hate you. And these people hate you. Okay? They don't dislike you. They're not just trying to take your money. They hate you. They resent you because you don't think like them. And if you don't think like them, they will make you think like them if they can. Or they will force you, they will punish you when you don't think like them. So, that's my rant. I don't care if you're angry about it. I really don't. I tried to keep the political stuff off of YouTube, but you forced my hand. You forced my hand. I don't care if you ban this video. I've got other platforms now. But Facebook should come out immediately, tell the Biden admin to go pound sand. They could at least give the impression they're an American company again, despite, Zuckerberg's waving of the American flag on July 4th. You actually have to do something, Zuckerberg. And there's rumors that I saw a post saying that Facebook put out some kind of statement slightly opposing this. Now, you gotta just draw the line in the sand and say, we're not going to do anything for you. I mean, you already have a terrible system now for flagging people, but at least it's your system. At least you still can say the argument, well, we're a private company, we can do what we want. You're not a private company when you're doing the bidding of the U.S. government. That's it. We'll see you in the next one.